Welcome back to the Healing Chamber podcast. This is Layla, and today the topic is how to have 5 to 7 sponsors without intimacy. And obviously, when I say the word sponsor, I also mean provider, sugar daddy, however you want to call them. I feel like the biggest misconception when it comes to this lifestyle is that a lot of people assume that there's a lot of physical intimacy. And I'm not saying there isn't for everybody, because obviously, I can't talk about everybody's life. But when it comes to my own lifestyle and how I teach it, there isn't any physical intimacy involved. And I feel like this is the biggest myth. I feel like men probably started that programming, because they're the one, benefiting from it. So I know a lot of men assume that there is physical intimacy, and I feel like a lot of times it's usually men that are not wealthy and not established, that are just looking at that lifestyle from far away, and they're assuming that there is, sex involved. And I feel like women that do it are also the ones that just got started in the industry lifestyle, and they don't know how it works, and they also assume that they have to be physically intimate because some men told them that they have to, or they expect it. So this is where there's a lot of distortions and misconceptions. So no, there isn't any physical intimacy involved. There can be, obviously, just like anything, if the woman feels comfortable and safe to do it. But this is actually a red flag. Like, if I am at a restaurant and a man approaches me, and immediately if he starts to, offer some type of gift in exchange of physical intimacy, and yes, that happened to me in the past. Like, men have been that bold, which is kind of crazy, right? I usually get bold as well. When they start to be bold like that, I also get bold as well. Like, if they're like, oh, what type of gift, I just tell them straight away. I'm like, well, a car, a luxury car. Let's start with that, and they're like, whoa, because it's a very predatory behavior. So usually the best way to deal with men that are predators like that is to have these like really, really, really high standards that they cannot even, get over, right? Because it's so rude, it's so vulgar, and honestly, it rarely happens to me to have men like just straight up ask me for my body in exchange for gifts. Like, that rarely happens. Usually when men approach me, there are very successful men. They're gentlemen, they're old school, they're traditional. A lot of times they're older, they're in between like 50 or 60 years old. They're very grounded, they're very calm. They don't have the same stamina, I guess, than some younger men. Because yes, the few times that happened to me, the men were a bit younger. When men were predatory, they're usually a bit younger, and not as successful at all. And so, so the men that I choose for, to be my providers, they all have the same things in common. They're very calm, they're very gentle, they're very respectful, they're gentlemen, they're very old school. So honestly, they don't even talk about sex. Like, they're not vulgar at all. They're very classy. They love, fine dining. They love to talk about, music, art, hobbies, so automatically, if a man approaches me and he wants to like gift me something, even if it's like a luxury purse or something in exchange of my body, I just get turned off. I'm sorry. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, no, I don't do that, you know? And usually I just refer them to like some random website just so they feel bad about themselves, you know? So anyway, yeah. So this is why it's easier to have, you know, at least 5 sugar daddies or providers, sponsors, when there isn't any physical intimacy. And the reason why there isn't any physical intimacy as well is that it keeps the men chasing. You know, I feel like this is the biggest mistake, one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of sugar babies do, is that they find these men, or the men find them actually, and then they kind of get all excited. And, you know, sometimes some of them are attractive, right? So let's say the woman is like, you know, he just gifted me that and he's been spoiling me for a few months, blah, blah, let me just be intimate with him. If she does that prior to him, you know, saying that he wants to be exclusive or blah, blah, it's just, for him, it's just a booty call, even if he spent a lot of money. And he might be more inclined to change his sugar baby because he doesn't have that, I guess, that primal instinct to chase her anymore, right? Because he had the physical intimacy. And this is the main reason why I tell women not to do it. And obviously, it's very different, you know, if the man asks you to be, after a few months, he asks you to be exclusive, and, you know, you just give him your requirements for that, and he just like does all of them. And then if you start to feel some sort of connection because he's been so consistent and spoiling you, and you also think, you know, he's physically attractive, then obviously that's like different. Now it's like, it's a relationship, you know, because a lot of times, a lot of relationships actually start as sugar baby, sugar daddies, right? Because it's kind of like the dating type of phase. Most of them never end up, you know, being serious, but sometimes it can happen. A lot of times, sometimes sugar daddies can ask their sugar babies to marry them. And this is actually something that happened to me like 5 times, I think, since 2024, you know, for some reason. I don't know why everybody wants to get married this year. So yeah, so this is something that can happen. But again, physical intimacy should not be forced or manipulated into the situation. Even if, like, I don't know, I feel like it would be so rude for a man to just, you know, buy me all this stuff and just come up to me and say things like, well, you know, are you coming back to my place? Like, I would be so offended, and like I would just be like, you know what, I'm going back home, have a good night, you know. I would just be very offended. But for some reason, I guess I don't connect with these types of men because I filter them, you know, I vet them at the beginning while, you know, we're talking. Because obviously, as soon as a guy, you know, automatically assumes that we're gonna kiss or we're gonna make out, we're gonna be intimate, I automatically get turned off. I even had some men, you know, sometimes text me. They're nice, you know, at the beginning, obviously, and then it comes up like later, and they ask for like pictures that are very inappropriate of me. Usually what I do, I don't do that anymore, guys. I used to be petty, but like I don't do it anymore because I'm getting a bit, you know, I wouldn't say old, I'm not old, but like I'm getting more mature, I guess. And I don't know, I don't like wasting my energy anymore and my time. But I used to like I would go on Twitter and like screenshot pictures or videos of women that look like me, but you don't see their face. But a lot of times they were like transgenders. And so these men would just like pleasure themselves to like pictures and videos of men, basically. And I was just like, you know what, that's their karma for asking some inappropriate questions. But like I said, I'm not petty anymore. I don't do that. Honestly, like as soon as a guy ask me for inappropriate pictures, and like we're not even like married, like what do you mean, like no, I just get turned off automatically and I just block them. I just block and delete and I move on with my life and my day. So I don't recommend doing that, but I know it's very petty. But anyway, yeah, I would say this is the biggest myth, biggest misconception about this lifestyle. And I feel like a lot of women who don't know about this, they just do it and they get exploited and abused by men. Because a lot of times if they start to send pictures of them, obviously the sugar daddy doesn't, he's going to show the pictures to his friends to brag. And so now all of his friends, saw you, you're naked. And if you start to be intimate, then he's going to start looking at other sugar babies. He might even have like 3 others on this side. It's just not good for your health as well, because now there's like a lot of people involved intimately. I don't know. It's just very messy, very chaotic. And I feel like when there isn't any physical intimacy involved, it's just easier to just focus on getting to know someone and having fun. And it's just, I don't know, it feels more clear, more mature, and we can, I don't know, focus on life and just doing other activities actually. So yeah, I try to leave intimacy, just like anything about like pleasuring, it should be just with yourself. And then obviously when you get into this exclusive relationship where you're engaged and you're going to get married, or you're married, depending on your boundaries, then obviously you can, do as you please. All right. So let me know if you have any comments, suggestions, questions as well. And I'll see you tomorrow for our next episode. Bye.